What's up, everyone? We hope you guys had a fantastic weekend, and we have some very exciting things happening again in the market this week. Last week was one of the best weeks for the market all year long, and this week we have more important earnings. We have Jerome Powell speaking twice, and we have the man, the myth, the legend, the Oracle of Omaha, Warren Buffett, sitting on the sidelines with a record pile of cash right now. So we have a lot of great things to talk about today, and we have some awesome setups and predictions for tomorrow. So stick with us all the way to the end. But Tom, let's jump right into today's episode.
Yeah, last week we saw a lot of big earnings featured, like Apple and a few others, and Apple actually moved down, but it started recovering back up, and man, that market last week was something else. Even though Apple fell, the market did not care about the most influential stock, obviously, because, man, it might have fallen a little bit in pre-market, but wow, I mean, these explosions have been fantastic, and we've been seeing the yields pop down, so I'm so happy, Mike. We go out and we look at TNX, we see it falling down off of that big 5% level, right? People kept saying the 10-year yield hit 5%. It hit 5%. Oh my gosh. And now we're starting to trade a little bit lower now, right? It's starting to come down hard on that daily chart, and we're seeing TLT start to pop up as well. So, Mike, it's fantastic. TLT's running, the market's running, yields are coming down a little bit. Let's go. It's a time for traders, and the momentum to the upside lately has been pretty astounding.
You know it, and what's very interesting is when we look at a chart of, let's say, the overall market, and let's say we zoomed out a little bit, the recent uptrend has been fantastic, but the past couple of months are definitely still in the red. The market has been continuously making lower highs, and the bears have definitely been in control over the past couple of months. And what's interesting is we have some very powerful and influential investors like Warren Buffett that isn't necessarily believing all of this short-term hype. It has been reported that Warren Buffett is sitting on a record pile of cash, $157 billion to be exact. And I think this is pretty telling. You know, Buffett is basically saying, like, you know, we don't see any great deals right now, so we're just going to sit on the sidelines and earn that, you know, juicy 5% risk-free return with, U.S. bonds right now, or T-bills, I should say.
Yeah, and, it makes a lot of sense, Mike, because, there's so much, I would say, uncertainty in the stock market right now. Sure, the market went up last week, and that's great for us options players, right? But whenever we start to see bigger institutions like Berkshire and others holding cash like this, it's definitely a scary sign because they might be foreseeing a pretty big drop. Now, I know the market just popped up a little bit, but don't forget, we just got to that big 10% correction zone, right? If we do that high on SPY to the recent low, it was down just over 10%. That was where people started really kind of freaking out, but I feel like that at the same time, a lot of people were like, wow, that's a pretty big dip on SPY, right? We're buying it up. Or lots of shorts were covering at the same time, and we're starting to see that SPY run up now. Now, what I've noticed is that we're kind of in a big trend, okay? And I feel like that we're touching the top of this trend line in this channel again, and we could end up moving back down off of this. We'll have to see how this news goes this week, but there's a lot of Fed speakers coming out. But whenever you see people holding cash, especially I would say the most influential investor in the entire world, Warren Buffett. You might call Powell the most influential investor. I don't know if you count what he does as investing, but, it definitely moves markets. But whenever you see these big guys making plays on holding cash, it's definitely worrying, especially whenever it's somebody that usually buys on big dips like this.
True that. So very interesting either way. And for last week, I think what really brought in a lot of the buying pressure was earnings. Until last week, earnings season has been pretty bloody, but things changed. And going into this week, Tom, there are even more exciting earnings reports. We could see on Tuesday before market open, we have Uber. On Wednesday after close, we have Disney, Affirm, a couple other ones. But overall, we have a pretty exciting week ahead of us.
Man, Mike, I think my favorite one of the week is going to be YPF on Thursday. No, I'm just totally kidding. It's got to be Disney, right? I've been loving Disney for a long time here. It's going to be my biggest watcher of the week, but there's some fun ones here. Even a couple others are like Mara. I know a lot of people watch that one with Bitcoin. Biogen, I know that they're big with some drugs and stuff like that. So these are some pretty good stocks, Mike. Even Rivian on Tuesday and after hours, they better report some good numbers or else who knows how low they might get. But it's going to be a fun week again. It's not as big as last week. We're not going to have Apple, but I feel like these are some pretty fun stocks that will have some big moves. And I don't recommend playing earnings, but some of the run-ups into earnings and the opportunities after are pretty damn good.
For sure. And like you said, Disney is going to be one of the biggest earnings reports of the week on Wednesday after close. If you don't like their politics, that's fine, but their stock is definitely one to watch. It is in one of its largest drawdowns that it has ever had right now. Basically in the beginning of 2021, this stock was trading for over $200 a share. From that point, it went as low as like $78 a share, and it has been struggling big time, basically nonstop over the past couple of years. So I guess we'll see if this earnings report can show some daylight for this stock.
Yeah, and I feel like lately there's been a lot of buyers coming in. It keeps bouncing off this $79 to $80 support, and that support is huge. It goes back to the COVID low. It goes all the way back to the lows of 2014 as well. So I'll definitely be watching that area of support. Now, it is running up right into resistance, though, in the short term, right around like 86.30, 86.50. I feel like we need to get a solid breakout, I would say above like 87 in the short term before we say this is a big resistance break. But so far, so good. Channeling down here, and if the earnings are well, that'll be exactly what it needs to kind of get that kickstart going. So go ahead and screenshot the earnings if you want, guys, but there's going to be some fun ones, even like Unity, Win, CGC, Aora. There's even cannabis stocks this week.
You know it. It's just crazy for me to think. I know we just talked about this, Tom, but it's just crazy to think that Disney stock is trading at the same level that it was back in 2014. Like, that was almost 10 years ago, and like if you bought Disney 10 years ago and you held till today, you would be at break even. Like that just sucks. Like, I know there were some dividends along the way and stuff, but talk about just being like, like a lost decade. Like, Disney is definitely that.
Yeah, and I'll give it this, though. Disney did have a great run, okay? Like, over that time, sure, it fell down a lot now, but it had that great, like, 150% run from kind of like that midpoint of 2014 or like the beginning of that year. So it definitely did a good move. I guess it just comes down to, like, did anybody take profits, right? And if you're a really long-term investor, maybe not. But, at some point, you got to start letting go of those shares and maybe expecting some dips to rebuy in on. All companies have this. Even Apple has had some pretty bad pullbacks throughout the years. So I'll say this one's not too bad. And we can also attribute this to maybe Disney went a little bit overzealous on the streaming, right? I've been kind of glad to see them getting out of that video business a little bit more.
Yep, so we shall see. But Tom, we have even more exciting events for the week. Fill us in.
Yeah, and the biggest thing is going to be Powell speaking, I would say. So, of course, earnings are going to be huge, but Powell's actually speaking 2 times this week, on Wednesday and Thursday. And there's a lot of other Fed speakers on here, like Bostic, Barkin, Logan, Williams, Barr, Jefferson. Like, man, it is a week for the Fed speakers. But talking about Powell more specifically, on Wednesday, he's speaking 15 minutes before the market opens. He's giving opening remarks at this event. And keep in mind, it's a really weird time. 15 minutes before the market opens on Wednesday. Pretty weird. And then he speaks on Thursday, and he's going to be doing a policy panel discussion at 2 p.m. So 2 events there. They're not FOMC events like last week. But hey, if he says something about the economy, there could be some pretty big movement coming in with SPY. And with how much SPY's been running lately and all the yields that have been falling down, hopefully he fuels this uptrend a little more.
There we go. Now, one thing that is synonymous with Jerome Powell are interest rates, and it looks like the chances of the Fed's easing is ticking higher and higher. So, Tom, you found this over the weekend. Fill us in. This is pretty interesting.
Yeah, so everybody kept looking at rate hikes this year, right? And we kept looking at these percentages on the chart over and over and over. And look at the hike percentages now here at the bottom. These are very low now. Some people still think that there could be, a hike up to 575 to 600 basis points. That's not really the case. They're looking now to pause, if not even have easing even sooner. So before Powell spoke last week, it was actually priced in that we would see the Federal Reserve cut rates in June. Now it actually switched to May, and the percentage flip-flopped quite a bit there. So it looks like they're pricing in easing sooner now, and the chances of a cut are almost zero, Mike. Like, I cannot believe that the chances for a cut, or I mean a hike, went from like 30 to 40% all the way down now to 8%, 6%, 2%. Like, that's just insane. So it looks like there's no more rate hike coming this year, that's for sure, and especially not next year. You know, these percentages are pretty telling, I'd say.
Exactly. So basically, it looks like the Federal Reserve is, expected to be a lot more easy, I guess you could say that, on the economy than it originally was expected to be, which is, a relatively good thing. So keep that in mind as well. But with that being said, Tom, let's get right into some setups and predictions for tomorrow. One stock I'm watching very closely is NIO, and we actually had a big money trade on this one last week, and it's pretty interesting. So NIO is at a pretty good spot, in my opinion. Just last week, we had a big money trader dump $2.8 million into some calls. It's bouncing off support in a pretty big way, and some of these China stocks are starting to see some great inflows. So ticker symbol NIO is going to be a stock that I will be watching very closely to the upside for this week. And, you can't beat it when you also had a big money trade recently, too.
Man, those moves up last week on NIO were insane. Like, let's see what the percentage was Friday, like 5.6%. That's pretty good, and it's moving very well off support. So I'm with you, Mike. I will keep it on the radar. That support and big money play is looking very, very tempting right now. I'm going with a fan favorite for my first stock here, which is Palantir. I'm looking for a breakout up above like 19.13, 19.15, and I'm looking for a push up towards $20 or so. So I'll be looking for that breakout with Palantir. They're starting to run since earnings, and I like this post-earnings reaction. So if they keep up with that momentum, keep watching them to the upside. They're approaching those recent highs here, like I said, around $20.
All right, sounds good. Another stock I'm watching pretty closely is SE. So SE is pretty oversold in the grand scheme of things. On Friday, it did very great as it popped up by 8%, and it's starting to move with some good momentum. So again, this is another stock I'm watching pretty closely to the upside.
Yeah, it looks great. A nice green candle coming in off that recent dip, bouncing off $40. And with these stocks starting to recover, it's great. I see a lot of growth stocks starting to really come alive. Even like DraftKings last week was looking fantastic. So I love it, Mike. Keep up. I love these growth stocks today. I'm not used to, seeing you call out a ton of growth stocks. I'm surprised Baba wasn't in there.
True that. I guess NIO made up for it.
It did, man. NIO is really cool. But with my next play, I'm going with Starbucks. This one's a little bit of a slower mover, a safer stock, but they have pretty good options, and they've been popping off a lot lately. They're back above $100. So if they break that high last week around 104, watch for a push up to 105.
Sounds great. All right. Well, with that being said, let's also get right into the momentum plays. And with the first one, we have Zoom to the upside.
ZM, another growth stock popping off. Go ahead and make them break out above the 63.50 resistance. They got pretty close to there on Friday.
All righty. With the next one, we have Baba to the upside. Tom, you knew it was going to come in.
I knew it was somewhere. Go ahead and make Baba break above 86. If you want to be safer, do 86.05 or 86.10, just above that high of day.
All right. Sounds good. And with the last one, we have Apple, but to the downside.
AAPL, yeah, they ran up last week, but they had that bad move on earnings. So I don't know. Overall, I'd say it was a bad week for them. So if they break under 175, then look at puts.
All right, so we have that downside level on Apple. Look at it for a play down only if it breaks below that level. And then don't forget about Baba and ZM. They both have upside levels, so only look at them for a play to the upside if they break above that level. But let's get right into today's big money $1.2 million trade of the day. We are looking at ticker symbol LYV. So this is Live Nation, and as you guys know, there's been a bunch of hype with Taylor Swift and, Beyonce and stuff like that lately. And basically, the big money is betting $1.2 million into the LYV 90 strike call options that expire on December 15th of 2023. Looking at LYV, it's at a pretty decent level right now. The options have some time. They had a great move on earnings. And overall, I think this is a pretty decent play that has some real news behind it.
It does. Whenever we talk about Taylor Swift lately, I mean, man, her and Travis Kelce's relationship has been like taking the world by storm, if not, the whole United States. But man, that seems like that's all I've heard about the past couple months that isn't stocks, right? So I'll definitely be watching LYV. There's a lot of hype around Taylor Swift, Beyonce. Those concerts are going nuts. I know the Eras tour for Swift is insane, and hey, go Swifties. I'll say this, the more the merrier. I hope they keep selling out so the stock keeps blasting off.
Yeah, so keep a close eye on LYV. Clearly the earnings for this most recent quarter definitely pleased a lot of investors.
Yeah, I love to see the stock moving up. And if we talk about some levels that it's running up into, it's actually almost up into recent highs again. So if I'm watching this short term, I might want to wait for a breakout back above 87 to 88. I mean, that's a pretty big resistance that I'm watching right here. So I'll be watching that short term. But yeah, these opportunities with big money plays are awesome, especially whenever you see, I love it whenever they're running after earnings like a big catalyst too, because it just gives you even more confirmation on it.
You know it. Well, guys, let's have a great week. We have the market that is coming off of a pretty bullish week, and I think this volatility and opportunity is here to stay. If you crushed it last week, then awesome job. Keep that momentum rolling, and even if you didn't, go into this week with a fresh start. Keep your head up high. Keep those stop losses in place, and let's crush it. One thing I want to give a special shout out to is our member of the day, and it is our brand new bot, SurgeBot, who is in the StockedUp Discord now. Basically, for those of you who don't know, we deployed some game-changing new updates into the StockedUp Discord. We have a bunch of new bots, channels, features, and software here, where basically anything and everything you could possibly need for short-term trading or even long-term investing, we have an amazing community here, and I know you guys are going to love all the new things we have to offer. We're even going to start doing live Q&As and education sessions, so things are going great at Stocked Up. Come join the premium community. It'll be that first link in the description in the comments down below. You get access to all of the new software, all of the new features, and you can even chat with Tom and myself all day long. We have a lot of exciting things in the works, so make sure to join up. Now is the perfect time. But Tom, I think this week is going to be a great one.
Me too, Mike. And hey, I cannot wait for everybody to see what we have in store. So let's go, guys. If you are not in the Stocked Up Discord yet, now is the time to join. There will even be some new stuff with the SurgeBot for people who join up who, don't maybe want to pay or they want to try it out or something, right? There's even some free ones here. So let's go, Mike. I love it. The more the merrier, right? We try to bring as many tools and as many chances and as many things that we can to the community to kind of make it the best place and to give everybody, I would say, the best information out there, because what makes trading the best? Having the most information. So let's go, Mike. The more data, the better. And I just love, seeing Stocked Up become a better place as time goes on.
Exactly. We've done nothing but reinvest into the community we have here. It's a very special place with, the best software in the industry and some really great people and traders as well. So things are going great. Consider joining. It's the first link in the description in the comments down below. But be ready for earnings this week. We have a lot on the schedule. Powell speaks twice, and the market is moving with some power. So thank you guys so much for watching, and let's crush it.